I'm HamsterBomb.
I'm Matt.
And you guys are back for some more Pokedex Paradox, the series where we dig through the Pokedex and find some hilariously incorrect science misnomers, crazy things that make no sense, and we just have some fun with it, either tearing the science apart or pointing out how completely illogical it is. Or like last time, trying to make a game show out of it, which Matt still got a little PTSD from. So anyway... today we have a special Pokemon, one of your favorite Pokemon, Matt.
It is one of my favorites.
And we are going to be taking a look, diving deep, to look at the interesting Pokemon, Wailord. The Wailord! So this one, I'm most basically going to be in charge mostly of reading the Pokedex entries, and this one's pretty much all you for the science.
Yep, so let's just go ahead and start with the basics. Give me I want you to read my species, my height, and my weight.
Okay, so the big things about Wailord is it is the largest of all Pokemon, supposedly. I mean,
they changed that. In Ruby and Sapphire, they did the one thing smart where they said it's the largest to date found.
Okay.
So they did cover their butts.
Okay, I was going to say, because as of right now, it still is. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we can carry on with that. So keep that in mind. This is an enormous whale Pokemon, and it's supposed to be referencing the blue whale,
yes,
which is the largest living animal.
Yes, and that is what this Pokemon is based off of. If you look down there in the facts, it says it is based off the blue whale.
Okay,
but anyway,
cool.
Continue.
So the species is the float whale Pokemon, and it's like that because it's also supposed to look like one of those inflatable floats that people take to pools. So the height of Wailord, and I want to point out height, we never really know what this means.
I seriously think they meant length in this case.
Yes, because like when you look at, say, Dragonair, for instance, it would get a lot smaller when it turns into Dragonite, but we kind of know that if you look at it, it doesn't make any sense.
I'm assuming height is length in this.
Length would make more sense. So if we look at this as if it were length, the length of Wailord is 47.7 feet or 14.5 meters. The weight of Wailord is 877.4 pounds, or 398 kilograms. And before you go on any farther, I know people have picked on this Pokemon before, basically trying to state that because of those two numbers, this Pokemon is lighter than air. Is that true?
Not necessarily.
I didn't think so. Now here, would it be true if you assumed that height really is height and not length? Because that would kind of like quadruple his size.
But we cannot assume that because we've seen his sprite in game next to a person who's about 5 feet.
Well, I mean, that's true, but the sprite, he had to fit. I would say it's more accurate to look at something like Pokemon Coliseum, where you're seeing a person sending it out, and then to scale, a Wailord appears, and Wailord is enormous.
It is, but it still looks like it's about 47 feet long versus 47 feet high.
True.
But either way,
yes,
even if you go height or length, that's not the important thing. I want you to scroll down the Dex entries for me.
Okay, I certainly will, but I wanted to keep that in mind, guys. The height to weight doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, Wailord is by no means the heaviest Pokemon. Who holds that? Is it Groudon?
Oh, I think so, yeah, Groudon.
It's someone like that. It's someone just...
I think it's Groudon,
like,
actually.
they're like 2,000 pounds or something like that. It's someone extremely heavy. So, anyway, moving down from here, I'm going to read a couple of these. The first one that I think you wanted to hear from is from Emerald. Is that true?
Let me see Emerald again. Yes,
okay.
Emerald is where everything breaks.
Okay, so before then, I'm just going to read a quick one beforehand because it'll say something like, here, for example, is Fire Red Leaf Green. It is among the largest of all Pokemon. See, right there, they already covered their butt. And Ruby and Sapphire, they said the largest. Now they're already saying is among the largest. It herds prey in a pack, then swallows the massed prey in one gulp. So it's just basically a bunch of stuff like that. Like, it's a really big whale, and it's kind of stuff you would expect it to say.
That's what this Pokemon is.
Exactly. So moving on from here, it starts to say something really interesting when we get to Emerald. Here we go. It breathes through nostrils that it raises above the sea. By inhaling to its maximum capacity, a Wailord can dive close to 10,000 feet beneath the waves.
Yep.
And in later ones, it'll also say, like in Diamond and Pearl and Platinum, it can dive to a depth of almost 10,000 feet on only one breath. And aside from that, that's basically pretty consistent as far as we go. It is 10,000 feet on a single breath. This Pokemon of this length and this weight in one breath is able to dive 10,000 feet into the ocean.
Yep, and that's where we start breaking.
And I'm pretty sure you're going to be getting into pressures into how he should probably pop. But
I got that image in my head.
yes, I'm assuming he should pop. In Black 2, White 2, it can sometimes knock out opponents with the shock created by breaching and crashing its big body onto the water. So how we always kind of joked about him using bounce? How he just like launches into the air.
I love that move on my Wailord. That is still a staple move on my Wailord.
And like, you just sit down at the bottom in terror as the shadow around your body slowly gets larger and larger. Until you're basically no more.
And to be fair, that one is accurate, because you won't be shocked. You'd be dead.
Yeah, you'd be dead.
That one I have no trouble.
You'd totally be dead. Unless, at his weight, he would kind of float away. But anyway, that's basically it. A lot of stuff just kind of gets repeated, unless there's another one you wanted me to jump to.
The main thing we're looking at today is the 10,000 feet issue.
Okay, so...
That is what we're looking at.
Right. It can dive to a depth of almost 10,000 feet on only one breath. Now, they're kind of covering their butts by saying almost, but that still, to me, means within rounding distance of the 9,000, over 9,600 feet. That's what I would assume, because that would round up.
Well, here's where we're going to go into.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go through a couple minimum stats here as we slowly build up
of like
to
other
what is going on.
Whales or...
right.
Go for it.
So basically, quick run view before I say anything. I'm measuring ocean pressure and depth at ATM, which is atmospheres. Basically, 1 atmosphere, 2 atmosphere. How much atmospheric pressure.
Okay. Basically, this is planet Earth.
Yep. This is planet Earth.
We're not on Europa or something like that.
So I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
How far down can a human go before the pressure kills you?
Oh, unprotected, right?
You have breathing apparatus, but...
Okay, just with a breathing apparatus.
You can breathe underwater. Go ahead.
Okay, man, I don't know. I've never really looked too much into... Ooh, but, man, even swimming to, like, the bottom of, like, a 10-foot deep end pool, that pressure starts, like, causing problems on your head. I can't even imagine doing that in, I'm gonna say... 150 feet. I feel like I would die.
You're close.
How close am I?
Okay, so basically, max depth before you start dying, both from... I forget what this is called.
Like, at 150, I don't think you'd be able to make it back up, but I could be wrong.
No, you wouldn't, because your lungs would collapse and you'd start having high-pressure nervous syndrome, aka you're going to go into convulsions and die.
Yeah.
Basically, at that point, you can do 60 meters or 150... not 100, I'm sorry, 190 feet.
Oh, I was really close.
You were really close.
I was really close.
Now, there have been new breathing apparatuses that have been made and simulated
to like keep the pressure in your lungs proper.
Right. But here's the thing: they've only been simulated to go about 500 feet, and that's just simulation. No one's dumb enough to try this because no one's gonna do that.
Yeah, that sounds pretty frightening. Okay.
So, Wailord's max dive is 10,000 feet.
Yes.
Equivalent of 3,048 meters.
Well, I mean, to be fair, whales can also dive way farther than humans.
How far does the blue whale dive, Alex?
Dude, I have no idea.
Well, Wailord is the blue whale, essentially. So I looked that up. They can only dive to 100 meters.
What?
Wailord dives to 3,048. So I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't work. He's obviously not a blue whale.
No.
So I went to the next whale. I'm like, okay, what whales are known for diving down deep?
Okay.
Oh, sperm whales.
Okay.
He kind of looks like a sperm whale, you know.
You could push it, yeah.
You could push it.
You could push that.
So I went ahead and did the sperm whale.
Sperm whales are terrifying.
They can only do 3,200 feet or 975 meters.
Oh.
Are we at 3,000 yet?
Not even as far as the blue whale.
No, they're farther than blue whale.
They were?
Yeah, blue whale.
What was it again?
Blue whale can
You're
go
giving me
200
meters and feet.
All right, I'll stick to meters. Just
okay, I'm getting confused. So, Wailord, for reference, was how many meters?
Wailord is 3,048.
Meters. 3,048 meters.
At 10,000 feet. That's the equivalent.
Okay.
So, a blue whale can do 100 meters.
Okay.
Sperm whale can do 975 meters.
Oh, okay. So, sperm whale goes significantly farther. I was off by a factor of 10. I thought it was 1,000. Yeah, it was actually 100.
But sperm whales we kind of knew lived in the deeps. They eat giant squids, stuff like that.
Yes, they also kill crazy old men up on the...
Hey, they started that fight. If they didn't want to finish it, that's their own fault, all right? But basically, so my next part, before I go any further, I wanted to learn, okay, how do they do this? How do they survive? And it's actually kind of cool.
Okay.
Because, yes, they take the breath. Mm-hmm. But when you take a breath in, you don't have to hold that breath. That oxygen is already circulating.
Right.
So it's just a matter of...
Kind of like how you were talking about the birds before, how they like always cycle that oxygen through them, except it's not perpetual breathing, it's all internal.
Kind of, yes. But here's the thing. If I'm going down deeper and deeper in pressure, the only thing that's really hurting me in pressure, it's not the bones. It's not like in movies where all of a sudden a person just like crumbles up and dies.
Yeah.
That's unless you're at the very, very bottom, which you'd be dead long before then. Mm-hmm. But basically, what gets crumpled is the air pushing out of your body.
Right. It's like a submarine.
Right.
Or a basketball. If you try pushing a basketball into the water, it's also a sign from trying to like the air wants to be out of there.
Right.
Right.
So the way whales apparently do this is one, they release, but two, I didn't know this either. Their ribs can fold, basically manually collapsing their lungs.
What?
They can manually collapse and uncollapse their lungs when they dive down that far.
Okay.
It's really freaking weird.
Okay, so maybe we could stretch this farther because Wailord's body shape is so, let's just...
He's a tube.
He's a very large cylinder.
Yes.
Even more so than the sperm whale. And you'd think maybe we could push that to allow...
No.
Nah.
No. So let's go.
Let's just keep going with the sperm whale. No.
So basically, when you go down dive depth, this can result in tissue compression and eventually the high pressure nervous syndrome. You start convulsing, you die. Because your brains and nervous system is going, what the hell is going on? I'm not built for this. What is happening?
Yeah.
And then you just kind of die. So I decided, okay, there's got to be something that can go down that far.
Right.
Something. And there is a whale.
We have... Oh, a living thing.
There is a living whale.
Things. I thought you were going to jump right to submarines or something.
No. Because I wanted
diving.
living things. I wanted a living thing that can go down that.
Yeah, me too. I totally don't want to cheat and say, like, Wailord's made of solid steel, because he clearly doesn't weigh enough, to be that dense.
Right. Now, there is a beaked whale that can reach that depth. That can go down 3,048 meters.
Really?
We've only seen one be able to do that, and it only stayed down there for a little bit before it came back up, but it made it down there.
In a single breath, it still did it.
It still did it. Problem is its size.
Oh, it's a little dinky guy, isn't it?
Kind of. A Wailord is 47 feet. We established that.
Yes.
This beaked whale is only 23 feet.
Well, that's still pretty big.
But here's the thing. It's not shaped like a tube. It's shaped like a thin cylinder.
Well, imagine a crescent,
wing.
like a crescent moon, kind of.
Like a plane wing. If I'm looking at a cut out of a plane wing,
okay, so it gets thinner on the way back.
Yes.
Kind of like the front of a marlin or what are those freshwater dolphins?
Yes.
Okay.
And the one thing we learned about it is not only can the ribs collapse, but the lungs also are reinforced.
Okay.
So have normal human lungs. Imagine we have a thicker tissue around that.
You'd need it, yeah.
That's made to protect our lungs for that.
Okay.
Problem with Wailord. We've seen him in the Coliseum and in the games. He is lighter than air. He floats. He cannot push his air out.
He's the float Pokemon.
He's the float Pokemon. He can't collapse his lungs. He cannot release that air.
But since Matt, Pokedex is law. He found some way. So didn't he? Because he's got the space in there, maybe. Unless all of him is air inside, and he's able to somehow, with ribs circulating his entire body, collapse everything until he is a little tiny cylinder. Just like a little tube. And then this long 47-foot minnow dives. Am I going too far?
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Okay.
But there's some other things I want to do, because I've read some other stuff that are not in the Pokedex entries, but in other Wailord lore, where it talks. It's obviously you've seen a Wailord. Mm-hmm. What kind of whale does it look like?
Well, if I was gonna pick like one whale in particular that it's kind of shaped like, it's kind of shaped like the sperm whale because it's got that round dome face, but the tail's nothing like that. Wailord's tail looks more like
I'll ask you more
like
a specific question. What does his teeth look like?
Oh, right. His teeth. He looks more like a blue whale.
Right. He looks like a filter feeder.
Yeah, right. Because we were reading later, apparently in X and Y, or no, I'm sorry, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, or Sun and Moon. It claims that he eats wishy-washy, which really he wouldn't do that because
he would need sperm whale type teeth or predator teeth.
Exactly. Yeah, he needs predator teeth. He can't do that because he actually needs to consume krill, which
would actually be that in there.
That would be the more innocent way to do it, other than saying he eats other Pokemon, because people freak out when you do that, right?
Yeah.
You're like,
we don't eat Pokemon.
People don't want to know there's like a living ecology out there, except I love that stuff. But like when you read in like the first game that Snorlax goes stomping around and eating Rattata or something, you're like, that's freaky.
That's disturbing.
Like, that's disturbing. So it's the same thing with Wailord going around eating Wishy-Washy, but he can't. He actually can't do it.
Right, and here's the thing. I want to accentuate this. I love Wailord. He is
Yes.
one of my favorite Pokemon all time. I have a water deck based around Wailord.
You do?
I do. I finally finished that. It's amazing.
We gotta play eventually because Kim never plays in TCG.
So the trouble I have with Wailord, and the reason he doesn't make me as mad as Pidgeot, is because I think they looked at it like, okay, what's the deepest thing a whale can dive? And they just kind of,
yeah. Right, so it's
versus
not like
Pidgeot, they're like, oh, he can go Mach 2 without even looking at it.
they didn't look and say, okay, what's the fastest any bird has ever flown? Let's say that this bird can fly that speed, right? So you're saying they did this with the whales. They said, what's the deepest any whale can dive? They found a whale that could do it, because that is strikingly similar to Wailord's depth. What was it again?
10,000 feet or 3,048 meters.
The other whale.
The other whale, the beaked whale?
Yes.
Same thing. 10,000 feet, 3,048 meters.
Yeah, that's eerily similar. I think you might have stumbled on exactly where they got their inspiration from. Though, it is interesting that Wailord would need whatever anatomy works in that whale in order to allow it to do that.
And it's the magical world of Pokemon.
Right.
So I can look past like weight and height statistics. It's like having the massive Gengar.
Hold on. If you do that, I have no series.
Well,
come on now.
In this one, so he's the float whale, so obviously he's going to be light, which doesn't work because technically now, if I really look at the weight and buoyancy effect, he wouldn't even be able to sink. He just kind of like...
No, he would totally float. Yeah, he would totally float. I want to read, again, what exactly species does it say he is, because it makes no sense.
He's the float Pokemon.
With him, the float whale Pokemon. So, he's an inflatable.
Exactly.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, because we always see Wailord from the bottom. If you saw him from the top, I would not be surprised if there was an indented area for, like, someone to sit.
Well, have you ever looked at his tail?
Yeah, it looks like the thing that pops up on the top of, like, it looks like an airplane or a toy.
It's not a streamlined tail, so...
No, he could not swim.
And I don't even know how he does. How does he whale?
I don't know how he could possibly dive.
So that's the thing. It's like... I
love this too. A lot of the entries also claim that it breaches, and they breach in, it also interchangeably uses packs and pods. Which kind of bothered me.
Now I have this wonderful vision in my head of, say, somehow Wailord can collapse its lungs, release all the air. He's just like the squishy thing.
I mean, Pokedex
and he's at 10,000 feet.
Yes.
Into a breach, he just inflates and just goes launching out of the water. That's how he uses bounce. He dives down to 10,000 feet somehow.
Or no,
refills up oxygen and goes flying.
That's dive. And that's the most painful dive you will ever feel. A 10,000-foot depth dive. I'm like, any fish swimming anywhere above him, like all the Remoraid's and Sharpedos are like, they're done. Just blasted out of the way. And all of a sudden it's like, it's getting higher and higher. It's passing the Chinchus and the Magikarps, and all of a sudden, boom!
You just have the trainer standing there like, wait for it.
That's my Pokemon.
But
he just like crash and destroys them over there.
So that's really all I have really for Wailord is if he was a different type of whale, then maybe
here's the thing. Like, this is a species that does not exist, and we're only using attributes from species that do. And since things in nature whales even can dive to that depth, we could try and argue.
We could find some scientific...
Because this is not even close to, like, the ludicrousness of, like you were just mentioning with Pidgeot.
Yeah, Pidgeot's just broken.
Of its sheer impossibility. This is enough to where you could argue, maybe. The only thing that I'm stuck on is, I wonder how much the beaked whale weighs.
Oh, I think I have that, actually.
Do you have that? Because...
yeah, it's on my phone.
I'll let you do that in a minute. Because, the beaked whale would probably weigh, I'm guessing, somewhere around what Wailord is supposed to weigh. And it's Wailord's length or height that is the problematic number. Because that tells us he's clearly holding a lot of oxygen or air or something. Or it's also possible that maybe, this is crazy, but maybe there's some way he's able to alchemize the water and take the oxygen out of it when he's deep down there. How much does the beaked whale weigh?
3,000 kilograms. If I'm transferring that to pounds, that's 6,613 pounds.
Okay, so that is effectively 10 times heavier than Wailord.
And half the size.
10 times heavier. Never mind, you just broke it. You're like, this whole episode, we're like, you know what? maybe this actually can happen. Maybe it is possible. Maybe Wailord can actually... No,
he just kind of bobs on the ocean.
No, he just kind of floats. He bobs on the ocean surface.
I think it's black and white when you go into the water tunnel and you have that rare chance of Wailord swimming by.
Yeah.
That's just like right below the water's edge because that's as far down as he can go.
Yeah, like the four flippers on his sides, they're actually just like patting, flapping water up as hard as they can.
Because his tail doesn't work. His tail cannot work
how
either.
could he dive? I don't understand.
That and don't even get me started on the water resistance of trying to dive.
Because I'm pretty sure the air pressure that has to be inside of him, he has to be like a basketball, like I mentioned. But the thing is, a basketball would fall down. That's how you can dribble a basketball. He's more like a helium balloon. You'd be able to just punt him into the air. Now, you would obviously need enough strength to do this. He's still 877 pounds.
So use tackle. Boosh.
Like, you can still imagine, like a hunk of styrofoam, the size of Wailord, that is 877 pounds, right? Mm-hmm. You would look at it and say, well, it's styrofoam. I can throw that out of the way. But you're like, but it's just a little big enough, right? So it's still large, but the problem is the air pressure, like that styrofoam, will, even though it's that heavy, it will not sink.
No, it won't.
No. And you know what happens to a whale when they die?
They float.
They
fill up a gas and they float.
For a while, until the top creatures eat them, and then they sink, and their carcass goes down. They go down. The blubber helps them float. But can this guy even possibly have blubber?
No,
he can't!
A dead Wailord's floating there, and then a Wingull comes by, pecks him, and pokes a hole. It's like a balloon. He goes flying over.
Grossly, that actually happens with real whales.
They
build up with gas.
It's just not as funny, because now I'm just imagining a balloon just going...
Oh, you pop Wailord, and he was like flying all around. I was always confused. Like, so does Wailmer have this issue?
Let's go to Wailmer.
Because I really don't remember if Wailmer had nearly as much of an issue as Wailord does. Because Wailmer, oh gosh, he's only 6.5 feet and 286 pounds.
Okay, you probably could get away with that if we're looking at something the size of a dolphin, maybe.
Because think about that, 6.5 feet, it's a little bigger than a human.
Right.
He's a ball, though, so that's huge.
But he bounces!
Yeah, but we have humans
that
that weigh more than 286 pounds.
Let's check Dex real quick.
I mean, I'm not really expecting any numbers in the Dex entry. He's,
wait,
but...
up.
What?
Wailmer can store water inside its body to transform itself into a ball for bouncing around on the ground. By filling itself with more water, this Pokemon can elevate the height of its bounces.
Okay, so he's able to inflate by filling himself with water. It may be possible if Wailord is able to hold that ability, that it takes in the breath, the oxygen is flowing through its bloodstream, not in the lungs, and it fills itself with water to equalize with the pressure of the water to dive to 10,000 feet. Wailmer might have just saved him.
Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe.
I know no creature that can actually do what Wailmer just did. But still, maybe. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Keep scrolling down. I want to read some of these. These are funny.
I like how he's actually bouncing around like a bouncy ball.
On sunny days, it lands on beaches to bounce along like a ball in play.
It spouts water from its nose. That was from Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Oh my gosh, Black 2x2. It eats 1 ton of food every day. It plays by shooting stored seawater out of its blowholes with great force.
Ugh.
1 ton of food. Okay, now think about this. If it eats 1 ton of food, which is 2,000 pounds, and it only weighs, what now? It was like 260 pounds. What happens to the rest of the food?
I'm more curious on how he bounces by taking more water in.
Right, that does.
He gets heavier.
He actually should spray the water out, and then he'll bounce better. But whatever, Pokemon logic. Either way, it's just nuts. It's crazy. We wanted to cover this one because 1, it's one of Matt's favorite Pokemon, and 2, he's got a crazy Dex entry. Come on, he totally does. But either way, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to join us next time for some more game science. Be sure to follow us either on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and we will see you all in the next episode of Pokedex Paradox.
Bye-bye.